All right, buddy, first night in the alley cab. What do you think? I like it. I don't dig this rain, though. You can't even see it. It's so dark. I woke up on November 21st in Tom Sauk Mountain State Park. I had just slept 12 and a half hours in my brand new Alucab R3 tent. It felt incredible, but it was still pouring rain outside. Getting Charlie out of the tent for the first time was its own little circus, but we made it work. I got him fed, packed everything down, and started making my way towards Crocker, Missouri. This would be my first time attending a Midwest Adventure Outfitters event, but today started Friendsgiving 2025, and honestly, my first time ever even exploring this area. Events like this always stir something up in me. My mind gives me 100 excuses to stay home, but every time that I push back, I grow a little. I make a little more room for connection. And with Benji Word hosting, a man who somehow always brings the right people together at the right time, I knew this weekend was worth showing up for. So I drove through the rain, just documenting the morning, and heading towards whatever the weekend had in store. My first surprise of the weekend was right around the corner, and I had no idea this was coming. I pulled into the Price Cutter in Waynesville, Missouri to grab a few last-minute supplies. Nothing special, just a quick stop on the way to Crocker. I didn't realize it yet, but this is where the weekend truly began. So I just went to the grocery store, and an employee started having a seizure. So I got down and I was helping him. The manager came over, and they're still waiting on the ambulance. He started coming back and started getting combative, and I bailed because he was not life-threatening at that point. And yeah. I'll be honest, what happened rattled me. I felt abandoned and alone while it was going on. I was the only one who knew what to do, and I did the best I could until I couldn't anymore. Seeing someone still out of it, running into things, fighting the very help they needed, it was hard. So I left them with other employees, and even though it was the right call, I still felt like a coward walking away. That's a line I've struggled with my whole life, knowing when something is no longer my problem. I've always made everything my problem, all the way to the end, until it was solved or until I got frustrated and broke under the weight of it. The drive to the campsite was the first time I could actually breathe. The quiet gave me space to focus on the good that I had helped, instead of the images trying to replay in my mind. But when I arrived, everything in me wanted to turn around and go home. I thought I was calm by then, but the truth is I was still amped, and I'd stay that way the rest of the evening. But then I looked around and I saw Mike from Off-Duty Overland camped right next to Randall, two guys I met at Rendezvous in the Ozarks not too long ago. And when I heard they were in the early to bed section, I knew exactly where I needed to set up camp. Over the course of the afternoon and evening, we sat around a campfire and talked. Some faces I knew, and there were others I met for the first time. This whole day had a relaxed, sunny feel to it. Just watching people roll in, getting settled, and the dogs were running free and playing like they owned the place. When Friendsgiving finally kicked off that evening, the spread of food was incredible. After dinner, they played the movie Code 3, and for most people, it was the perfect way to settle in. For me, I was tired, overstimulated, my belly was full, and my body was telling me it was time to shut down. So Charlie and I climbed up into the tent and called it an early night. I fell asleep to the sound of the movie playing in the distance, people laughing, voices drifting across camp. It was a peaceful way to end the day. Good morning, Bobby. We're getting ready to get out of the tent. I left camp early that morning, well ahead of when I needed to. I wanted to grab breakfast, scout out where Rigs and Coffee was going to be held, and give myself time to settle in before the day really started. The fog that settled in over the hills was beautiful. It was soft, quiet, and it was so calming. But inside, things felt more complicated. I was driving toward a place where I'd only know a few people, hoping to meet new faces and trying like hell not to be the awkward guy who's still learning how to talk to people socially. It was one of those mornings where the road felt peaceful, but my mind was anything but. Still, I kept driving, because showing up is part of the work. What do you think, Charlie? We're waiting on a bacon egg wrap, and I guess you're not interested. He already got it puffed up. We stopped by and got coffee at the place that Riggs and Coffee is going to happen, and once we get breakfast, I'm going to go back there. Founded in 1869 on the Frisco Rail Line, Crocker is one of those Missouri towns where the history runs long, and the kind, hardworking Missourians make this place feel like home. It was interesting watching everyone interact. Benji was always moving, always working, and old and new friends gathered at the Brew Coffee House to support a local business while we stood around the fire pits and sipped on some really good coffee. Even the dogs got to run around. Just a simple, honest morning with good people.
For you is like freaking out here. But now is the time to go explore. There's Haha Chocolate, there's Devil's Elbow, there's the Johnson Shut-ins, which is but there's a bunch of fun things. If you want to join a group, this is the time to do so. I just want to know, is there anyone going exploring today that you want a caravan, or do you want to lead? I just want to go back to camp.
I'll pick people that will love it.
All right. Jesse's got to lead a group, the Devil's Elbow.
And Uranus.
Okay. All four classes are going to be happening at the same time. So.
Are you going back to camp?
Yeah, we're gonna go surrender real quick.
We're gonna follow you.
Okay.
Because I don't remember the way.
After Riggs and Coffee wrapped up, I found Jesse with Feral Chick Outdoors. Since I had no idea how to get back to where we were camping, I just fell in line behind her and followed her back to camp. Once we got there, we had about an hour to relax, to reset and breathe a little before heading out on a trail ride. Just got a really misty morning with some wind. This is supposed to be clearing off sometime. And we're gonna go on a trail ride to Devil's Elbow and Uranus Fudge Factory at 12:30. After warming up around the campfire for a while, I headed down to the gate early to get in line for the ride. I ended up meeting a group of 5 other vehicles that were there waiting, and after we stood around and talked and agreed that we'd all seen Uranus Fudge Factory before and didn't need to see it again, we set our sights on a couple of spots I've never been. What made it even better was that I think there were only 2 people in the group that actually knew each other. The rest of us were strangers, just rolling out together for the first time.
All right, we're ready. is showing me about 40 minutes to Devil's Elbow. When I drove by earlier, this dude was looking a little pissed off there. Yeah, he was yelling at me to slow down.
Man, you were quick on the brakes. You saved that bird.
Yeah, he just goes right out in front of me. It's a pretty cool little place down here.
Hey, let's line up off this fire truck and we can get a group photo.
I'd live here. Yeah, so would I.
Our first stop was Devil's Elbow, a tiny community tucked between St. Robert and Rolla, sitting right off Old Route 66. The name sounds dark, but it came from something simple, a sharp bend in the Big Piney River. Back in the logging days, rafts and barges used to crash here all the time. It was a dangerous spot, bad enough that old-timers said it was a devil of an elbow. And like most names with a little bite to them, the stories only grew from there. Local legends talk about heads bobbing in the river, haunted cemeteries from the 1800s, and people dying from disease and misfortune. But the one story that's lasted the longest sits about 2 miles up the road. That's where you'll find the solitary grave of Eliza Jane Laycox Thomas, a woman who died in 1897. Because she wasn't buried in a cemetery, folks assumed she must have been a witch. Back then, if you were considered bad or evil, you weren't allowed to be buried on sanctified ground. And once a rumor like this starts, it never really dies. The truth is probably much simpler. Some say she died suddenly right there. Others say there may have been an old house nearby, long gone now, and families often bury their dead in the yard. But legends have weight, and when people visit her grave today, the offerings tell their own story. Trinkets, children's bracelets, symbols, and sometimes things that feel darker than respectful. Standing there, it didn't feel like magic or folklore. It felt lonely, empty, like a place people kept feeding with superstition. The rest, the ghosts and myths, those are stories people added later. But when you're standing in it, the river, the bridge, the grave, it's easy to see how the Ozarks let a story grow roots. When I walked into Mayfield Cemetery, the sky was heavy. It matched the feeling in the air, a quiet loneliness, a reminder of how many lives ended here long before they should have. The cemetery sits on a slope of rough, uneven ground, and as I filmed, I kept wondering why they chose this spot. There's flatter land all around, places where digging a grave would have been much easier. But they picked this hillside, maybe because it meant something to them. Maybe this was the highest ground they had. Maybe it was close to home, or maybe they just didn't have any other choice. Standing there, I felt the weight of that. The work it took to carve a final resting place out of land that didn't give anything easily. It made me think about the people who buried their loved ones here. What kind of day it was, how tired they must have been, how much they carried, and how much they let go. As I moved between the headstones, filming the names that time has almost erased, it hit me how fragile all of our stories are, how quickly a life can be forgotten unless someone stops to see it and to acknowledge it. And on this quiet gray morning, I found myself doing the same thing I've been doing the whole journey, trying to understand the weight I've been carrying and what I need to finally lay down. Mayfield Cemetery isn't haunted because of the ghosts. It's haunted because you can feel the grief, the love, and the effort it took to bury people in a place like this. After leaving Mayfield Cemetery, Justin realized he'd forgotten his hat back at Devil's Elbow. And it wasn't until we got there that I realized the importance of this hat.
I did, it was still there.
Nice. Good.
You forgetting your hat got me back here to be able to shoot this. So
It was kind of a good thing.
Like, I can't get this one anymore. My old unit that's disbanded.
All right, so tell me about this hat we came back for.
This hat was an MTC hat from my unit, and they are no longer there because the Army decided to get rid of its reserve aviation component. So now I'm in the Guard, and this hat has significant meaning to me. So it's I can't lose it anywhere.
Yeah, I'm glad you
I
got it
didn't want to
back.
even bring it, but it's the first hat I could find.
I'm glad you got it back.
That afternoon, there were a few classes being offered: navigation, gear, and even cooking. I mostly sat back and listened, taking in the problems and solutions being offered by the breadth of experience in the group.
Starting en route to home. Head west on Beaumont Road.
I woke up around 6 a.m. to a heavy fog and a blanket of moisture over everything. It was peaceful, and in a way, that settled me in as I packed up for the day. I loaded the truck, I took one last look around camp, and set out for the 3-hour drive back to Kansas City. And as I drove, something in me started to open up. This weekend, I pushed myself in ways I didn't expect. I went even when my anxiety told me not to, and I helped a young man in the grocery store, stayed with him, listened, tried to guide him, until I reached the end of what I could offer. It was an emotional moment, a moment of compassion, and a moment of learning to set a healthy boundary. I walked away knowing I had done everything I could. And with the miles rolling by, I realized how often my brain lies to me. For years, it's told me I wasn't capable, or that I wouldn't be enough. What was once sharp and calculated is tired now. Tired from decades of scanning, reacting, surviving. And all my brain wants is peace. Peace inside, peace outside. Peace in moments like this, driving home through the morning fog. I still don't have everything figured out, but for the first time in a long time, I can see the next steps in front of me. Clearly, simply, and honestly. Thank you for watching and walking this path with me. I look forward to seeing you in the next episode.